Chapter 27, Wind, Hot Sand and Punishing Heat, along with a pounding headache, welcome me to our next teleporting destination. I try to shield my eyes from the blinding sun as I lie on my back, recovering. Welcome to New Mexico. Oh, yeah, 8 groans, but he sounds satisfied. We made it. I smile but stay where I am to give the pain in my head time to lessen before I try to move. Ella? I call out. I'm right here, Marina. She calls over. Look where we are. New Mexico. Finally. Can you try communicating with 6 again? I already have. No luck yet. I slowly stand up. 8 is on his hands and knees at the bottom of the sand dune, dry heaving. The teleporting seems to have affected him more severely than it did the last couple of times. Ella has her hand on the back of his neck. The 2 chests sit nearby. I rotate 360 degrees and all I see in every direction is sand, sand and more sand, and the occasional cactus. Which way should we go? Ella and 8 climb up the dune and stand next to me. After a minute, Ella points north and says, "Look, 6 said something earlier about dying in a desert with mountains." Squinting, I see where she's pointing. The faint outlines of mountains ripple in the afternoon haze. That's where we're going. Then, 8 says, we can cover the distance in short hops once my teleporting comes back. For now, we walk. We pick up the chests and head north. Ella, I say, you need to keep trying 6. If you can't reach her, maybe you can try 4, or even try one of the others. 5 or 9. We've lost so much time getting here. Maybe Ella can learn something that will save us some time now. 9 examines the map he's brought up on the screen in the middle of the steering wheel. He looks around at the endless desert surrounding us, the cars. GPS has picked up an underground tunnel nearby. Now we just need to find the entrance. When I press the green triangle on the tablet, it shows we're only a mile or 2 from the ship. I push the blue circle and shout, 9, they're here. Who's here? 9 asks, scanning the horizon. The 3 blue dots that keep moving. They're here in New Mexico now. 9 rips the tablet out of my hands and lets out a loud hoot. Holy shit, bro, no question we're in the right place. Wherever this tunnel leads to, whoever's in theory, it's all about to go down. He looks at me, his eyes shining. Yeah, this is it, the beginning of the end. It's dawning on me that this is going to be the fight of our lives. This right here. This is when we rise to the occasion. 9 says, you will fight harder than you ever have. 4, you are going to be a beast. And me, I'm going to find Setre tilde inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra and rip his head off, wrap it up and send it back to Mogador with a giant red bow on it. And then Lorian is going to rise from the ashes. His voice is shaking with emotion, with all the pent-up anger and fight he has been carrying around with him. Bernie Kosar barks from the backseat and 9 turns around to look at him with a smile. You, too, PK. You, my friend, are going to kick some major ass. I imagine what it will feel like to meet up with all the guard members, something I haven't let myself do for so long. I look out over the horizon. My mind is clear and open to all possibilities. It feels good, and that's when I hear a girl's faint voice echo in my head. It's soft and broken like a bad radio signal at first, but it becomes clearer. 4? Number 4? Can you hear me? Yes, yes, I can hear you. I yell out loud, whipping my head back and forth. Who is that? Where are you? 9 looks at me, confused. Dude, I hope you can hear me. I'm right here. Not you. I heard a girl. Did you hear her? A girl was just talking to me. Number 4? It's number 10. Can you hear me? This may be hopeless. I don't know if I'm talking to anyone. Maybe I'll never figure this out without Creighton. There it is again, I say excitedly. 9 is looking at me like I've completely lost my mind. 9, she just said something else. Did you hear her? She said she's number 10. I think she's in my head somehow. Number 10, the baby from the second ship. Well, don't just sit there staring at me. Talk back to her, dumbass. That's easy for him to say. I'm guessing it's a new legacy kicking in for both of us. It takes training to know how to make a legacy work when, and how, you want it to. I know I don't have much time to waste figuring it out. I take a deep breath and block out the noise in my head and around me, and focus. I try to recreate the feeling I had right before I heard the voice a few minutes before. I feel calm, open and somehow a broken bar connected. I can hear you, I try saying in my head. Nothing. I wait a moment and try again. Number 10, number 4, you can hear me? She heard me. I laugh out loud and look at 9, victorious. Tell her we're about to ride into town and save the day. 9 says, tell her we'll swing by and pick her up on our way to Lorien. Wherever she is. Where are you? I hear her ask. I'm with 7 and 8 in the desert, in New Mexico. We're trying to find and rescue number 6. What's she saying? 9 yells. I know it's making him crazy not being able to hear our conversation, but I can't talk to him now. I need to concentrate on hearing 10's voice, on responding to her. What do you mean? Where is 6? We're in New Mexico too. I'm with 9 and we're in the desert looking for an underground base. I look out at the mountains. We have to find that tunnel, fast. I say to 9, did she say where they are? She just said she's here, in the desert, with 7 and 8 and they're trying to rescue 6. That must be who we saw show up on the map earlier. I know I shouldn't worry if anyone can take care of herself, it's 6, but still I'm worried. She's got to be inside Dulce. Let's go find her. 9's fingers speed over the screen. The map changes color and looks to be scanning the area, finally zooming in on the trunk of a 5-pronged cactus about a quarter-mile away from where we are. Below it, I can see the outline of an underground tunnel. Ah, nice try, you sneaky government bastards. Tell number 10 to get her butt over here. Can you tell me where you are? 10, we found a tunnel to get inside the base where we think 6 is being held. We're in a brown car, pulled off on a side road. After a pause, she says, we can teleport to you. How do I find you? They don't know how to find us. I report to 9, maybe we can send up a signal somehow. Damn it, we should have brought that rocket launcher. He hits the steering wheel with the palm of his hand and stares out the window, shaking his head. We don't need a rocket launcher, I realize. Jumping out of the car, I aim my palms into the blue sky and light my lumen, swaying the beams back and forth. Look for the beams of light in the sky. I instruct 10. I don't hear anything for a minute. I hope we haven't lost our connection. 10. Look for the beams of light. We see them. 10 finally says, they're on their way. I yell into the car, keeping my lumen in the air. I want to give them as much time as possible to see exactly where we are. We just need to sit tight. I'll try. 9 says, studying the screen on the steering wheel again, but already starting to twitch. Man, I can't believe we found them. I finally turn off my lumen and climb back in the car. Suddenly, we hear the unmistakable noise of a helicopter. Johnny? 9 says, they're not getting here by helicopter by any chance, are they? Shit, I say. Bernie Kosar jumps into my lap, putting his front paws on the door to look out the window. The three of us watch several helicopters climb into the sky from the hazy horizon. The cluster of choppers moves together and stops to hover directly above us. I use my mind to focus on the one out front and send it spiraling off back where it came from. Then I bring it down, hard enough that it won't go up again anytime soon. It must be the feds. They're getting on my nerves almost as much as the Mogadorians. They must have been looking for us and saw your lights. 9 yells. The gun turret in the hood of the car pops up. 9 aims, then shoots warning shots to the right of the remaining choppers, then the left. As soon as he stops shooting they lower down, hovering just above us. I'm about to get rid of another one with my telekinesis when 9 lets out a yelp. Check out the road, he says. I look to my left and see an enormous dust cloud rising from a long line of black vehicles. Bernie Kosar barks and scratches at the door. I open it and he changes into an enormous hawk and ascends into the sky. I run around to the trunk of our car and open it with a pound of my fist. I unzip one of the duffels and pull out 4 automatic rifles, dropping 2 next to 9's door. Gunshots are already firing from the faraway vehicles, and I scramble on top of the car and take aim while 9 unleashes a barrage at the incoming helicopters. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Bernie Kosar swoop into the side of a helicopter. He's got one of the pilots with his talons. He yanks and pulls at him, using his powerful beak to rip out the safety belt holding him in the seat. When the pilot is free, BK drops him onto the sand below. His helicopter falls and bursts into flames on impact. The caravan of black cars swerves around the wreckage and I hold down the triggers of my 2 guns, taking out the front tires of the first 2 cars. It doesn't stop the convoy, but at least it slows them down. The remaining helicopters spread apart in the sky and come at us from different angles. Pockets of sand explode all around us. One helicopter flies directly overhead, and I roll out of the way of its line of fire. I struggle to clear my mind. It isn't easy, but I'm getting the hang of what it takes for me to go inside my head to communicate. I take a few deep breaths and quiet my mind. Number 10, where are you? We're under attack. We can hear it, she says. We're coming. Her thoughts are calm, with an edge of worry. It feels good just to hear it, though, to know others are on their way. I shift around and see 2 black helicopters bank left and head in the opposite direction, firing missile after missile at a new target. That has to be them. I can only redirect 3 of the rockets, but someone else deflects the rest. 10 and the rest are almost here. I yell down to 9 through the driver's window. Next thing I know, the gun turret on the front hood has exploded, sending hot metal flying over my head. I roll off the roof of the car just as it's split in half by a new hail of bullets. 9 jumps out of the car and grabs the 2 rifles I set in the sand by his door. Looks like we've got a real fight on our hands. I've been waiting for this my whole life. The helicopters circle back and line up over the faraway vehicles, forming a united front. 9 lifts his palm and the lead black truck is suddenly ripped straight up in the air like a shuttle rocketing into outer space. 9 flips his hand and the car falls back down again. We can hear the men screaming from where we are. The car comes to a stop right before it hits the ground, then smashes down hard. We watch the men scramble out on shaky legs and look for somewhere to run. At the sound of the impact, Bernie Kosar, still in the form of a hawk, lands behind the twisted car on the road and transforms into a beast. The trailing vehicles swerve into the desert to avoid him, some spinning completely around. Bernie Kosar roars. 9 ducks into the back seat of the car and throws our chests into the sand. Opening his, he pulls out the string of green stones and the silver staff, and as he jogs backwards towards the chaos, he yells, "You wait for the others, BK, and I will be right back." I shout back, "Don't look like you are having too much fun, and make sure you don't blow up the entrance to the military base." A helicopter swings in from my right, and just as I yank on its nose with my mind, something rips into my left leg. I fall headfirst into the sand, blinded by pain. It feels all too familiar and I roll on the ground screaming at the top of my lungs. I know what this means. A scar is searing itself into my leg. Another member of the guard is dead. Everything stops. The thought of another one of us dying sweeps through my body and I'm paralyzed by grief so deep it feels like I'm sinking into the sand. There is one less soldier to reclaim Lorien. One less soldier to fight to save Earth and every living thing on it. 2 missiles slam into our car, blowing it to bits. Gunfire rains down on me and just in time my bracelet expands into a shield. I take some solace in the fact that my inheritance is in tune with the dangers that face me, although I don't know why it didn't protect me from the first onslaught of gunfire. The bullets are hitting close and constant. When I finally manage to examine the new scar wrapped around my ankle, I'm shocked to see 2 gaping bullet wounds instead. I don't know that I've ever been so happy to be wounded and bleeding. I'm so relieved that it's not another scar that I don't even care that my hands are covered in blood. As I apply pressure to stop the bleeding, my bracelet retracts. I manage to flip myself over and look up. Standing over me are 3 teenagers. The boy is tall and tan with curly black hair, and the 2 girls hold lower chests. I recognize the boy immediately from my visions. He nods and smiles, saying, "Nice to see you again, number 4. I'm 8. Before I can respond, he disappears. One of the girls is short with auburn hair and tiny features. I know this must be number 10, the guard from the second ship. She drops the chest and kneels by my side. The other guard, a tall girl with shoulder-length brown hair, sets her chest down and, without saying a word, kneels beside me as well and lays both her hands on my wounds. An iciness rushes over me and my body convulses on the desert floor. Just when I think I am about to pass out from the pain, it's gone. I look at my ankle and see my wounds are completely healed. It's amazing. The girl stands, offers me her hand, and pulls me to my feet. "That's one hell of a legacy you've got there," I manage to say. "John Smith." She's staring at me and looks kind of starstruck. "After all this time, I can't believe you're standing here in front of me." I'm about to respond, but over her shoulder I catch sight of a missile screaming towards us. I shove the girls to the ground, falling on top of them, and a dune behind us erupts like a volcano, sending a sand cloud high over our heads. When it dissipates, it reappears next to us. "Everything good here? Everyone ready to fight?" he says. "Yeah, we're good," the taller girl says, nodding towards my leg. 10 had said she was with 7 and 8, so this must be number 7. Before I can introduce myself properly, 8 disappears for the second time. "He can teleport," says number 10, smiling at my look of wonder. I can hardly believe that so many of us are finally together. I smile back at her. In the distance, I can see 8 again, fighting alongside 9 and Pittacus. They wreak havoc on each approaching vehicle, flipping and disabling heavy military equipment like cheap plastic toys. 9's glowing red staff slices open the underside of a low-flying helicopter. 8 teleports next to a black Humvee and flips it over with his hands. 2 helicopters swing low and collide into a fireball. A new sense of urgency comes over me to get to 6 as fast as I can. "So I'm guessing you're 7 and 10. What can you do?" I say as I find our rifles in the sand and hand them each a gun. "You can call me Marina," the girl with the brown hair says, "and I can breathe underwater and see in the dark and heal the sick and wounded, and I have telekinesis. Call me Ella," I hear 10 say in my head. "Aside from my telepathy, I can change ages." "Awesome, I'm 4. That nut job with the long black hair is 9 and the beast is my chumate tilde broken bar raw." "Pittacus, you have a chumate tilde broken bar raw?" Ella asks. "I don't know what I'd do without him," I say. What's left of the brigade finally separates, and a dozen vehicles bounce off the road and race towards the 3 of us. A small plume of smoke escapes from the top of one of the vehicles, and I turn the rocket it just fired around with my mind, slamming it into a sand dune. The other trucks and SUVs keep speeding ahead. I start picking up pieces from 9's destroyed car and whipping them towards the oncoming brigade. I launch tires, doors, even a mangled seat at them. Marina does the same, and we're able to stop 3 or 4 vehicles from advancing. Still, there are half a dozen or more to deal with. Suddenly 8, 9 and BK pop up in front of us. 8 lets go of 9's hand and reaches forward to shake mine. "Number 4, you have no idea how happy we are that you guys are here," I say. 9 shakes 10's and 7's hands, and says, "Hello, ladies, I'm number 9. "Hi," 10 says. "You can call me Ella. I'm number 7, but I go by Marina," she offers. "I wish there was time to talk to these people I've waited so long to find, to hear their stories, to know where they've been hiding, to learn their legacies and what's in their chests, but there are more helicopters on the way. We can't stay here and defend this same piece of desert forever," I say. We have to get to 6. Let's take out these bad boys, 9 says, pointing to the oncoming cloud, and then we can find 6 and get on with it. We all turn to watch the approach. Several new helicopters now dot the sky. I look over at my fellow guard, and each one looks ready to fight. We've never had so many of us together. Never before have things looked so possible. After all this, we're never splitting up again. They'll just keep coming, I say. We should just go get 6. Okay, Johnny, the tunnel is that way, 9 says, pointing behind us. I'll take up the rear and deal with anything that needs handling, snap a few necks, shake things up a bit. Those of us with chests pick them up. I take the lead. Heading in the direction 9 pointed, I scan for traps and move everyone towards the 5-pronged cactus. 7 and 8 are on my heels, with 10 and BK close behind them. There is a steady stream of gunfire behind us as 9 does his thing. He sounds like he's having a party with himself back there, hooting and hollering. Only he would consider this fun. We pick up the pace and don't stop running until we get to the cactus. 9 gleefully fires shot after shot while late and I try to deal with the prickly plant, the only thing that stands between us and where 6 is being held. The map showed that the tunnel is right where the cactus stands. Finally, we managed to blow it to pieces using our telekinesis. Beneath it is a thick brown door with a metal handle in the middle of it. As I stand there looking at the entrance to the tunnel, the other guard by my side, I remember what 9 said earlier. I've been waiting for this my whole life. We've all been waiting for Thiza, waiting for the moment when we'd find each other, when the 9 of us would rise up and defend the legacy of Lorien against the Mogadorians. As it turned out, all 9 of us didn't make it, but I know that the 6 of us who are left, as well as the addition of number 10, will do whatever it takes to survive what's to come. End of chapter. Chapter 28. An enormous mug charges at me, gleaming sword swinging. I duck under the blade and connect my fist with his throat. He drops his weapon, gasping for air. No sooner has the metal clanged to the ground than I pick it up and behead him. A cloud of his ash engulfs me as 3 more charge. The ash hides me. I crouch low, slicing mug legs off at the knees as soon as they approach. When I stand, another massive mug tries to get me from behind. I backflip over him, driving my sword through his midsection as I land. I step through his cloud of ash to find myself surrounded by a dozen more. I don't see Setre tilde inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra. I turn invisible. After ripping through another round of mogs, I look again for Setre tilde inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra. I see him at the far end of the room and don't hesitate. I run straight at him. More mogs appear. I lose count of how many. I leave them all a pile of dust. When I'm within 30 feet of Setre tilde inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra, he raises a fist and points it at me, almost as if he can see me. Blue electricity shoots from his hand and crackles along the ceiling of the room and I feel myself turn visible. Once again, he's taken away my legacies. I knew this could happen, but I feel a pang of loss anyway. Still, I'm ready for whatever he has for me. Soldier mogs come at me from all sides, but I just keep moving towards Setre tilde inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra. When a mog steps into my path, I rip my sword through his neck. Another grabs me from behind and I cut off his arm. Another comes screaming towards me and I shove my sword through his midsection. At this point, I'm so focused on where I will ram my blade through Setre tilde inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra's neck that I barely notice killing off the mogs. The next thing I know, he's right next to me and he grabs my neck. He raises me up with one hand until my feet are dangling off the ground and once again our faces are only inches apart. You fight well, little girl, he breathes into my face. I wince from the stench. Give me my legacies back and you'll see how well. My voice is strangled. If you were as strong as you think you are, I wouldn't be able to take them away in the first place. Don't give me that, you coward. If you're so sure you can take me, why, Don't you do it, show me how big and tough you are, give me back my legacies and fight like a man, I shout. His voice echoes as he bellows, you use your powers, and I use mine. He tosses me back into the middle of the room, but I barely notice the pain of the impact when I hit the floor. My sword clangs to the ground and skitters away. A soldier sends his sword spinning at me at high speed. My first instinct is to try to stop it with my mind, but my legacies are still gone. Even so, my strength and reflexes are with me. Full force, I am going to kill Gus Ra. With or without my powers, I reach out with both hands and slap them over the oncoming blade, trapping it inches from my chin. The next second I'm tackled around the waist and, as I fall onto my back, I rotate the sword between my palms and sink it into the attacking Mog. I'm covered in a blanket of ash as I hit the ground. More Mogs come. I'm destroying them with their weapons, and the justice of that is awesome. I feel stronger with every one I reduce to nothing. I'm also more pissed off. If I have to go through every Mog on Earth to get to Gus Ra, I'll do it. Gus Ra is just standing there, watching the show. He roars so loud I can feel the vibrations in my chest. My years of training were all leading up to this moment. The only way I could feel stronger is if the rest of the guard were here. We should be fighting him together. I shake off the thought. I will take him out for all of us. After I finish off the last soldier, Gus Ra moves into the middle of the room to where I stand. He reaches behind his back and produces a massive double-headed whip that he snaps against the ground. It lights up with orange flames. I don't even flinch. There is nothing he can do to scare or stop me now. I race forward, yelling, "For Lorien!" He flicks the whip over my head, sending a thick blanket of flames over me. I dive under its edge and roll in the direction of his feet. As I dodge his stomping boot, I see several scars branded around his ankles. I register them but don't have time to think if there's a connection between his scars and mine. My sword slashes his calf just above the highest scar on his left leg and then I spring to my feet. The mark I made immediately hardens and fades to another scar. He is completely unaffected by the wound. He doesn't even limp a single step. He snaps the whip at me again and I try to cut off one of its two tails, but when the flames touch my sword, the blade melts. I throw the remains of the sword at him. He raises his hand and halts the weapon in midair. It twirls and glows, and as he stretches open his fingers, the melted blade climbs back above the handle, reforming into a gleaming sword again. He smiles and lets it fall to the ground. I dive for the sword, but when I reach down to grab it, his whip snaps across the top of my right hand. My skin boils and opens and, instead of blood, a hard black substance appears in the gash. I look at it and know I should feel unbelievable pain, but I'm numb. I stagger forward and finally get hold of the sword. Weapon in hand, I circle back around to face the Mog leader, but something is terribly wrong with my right hand now. It won't move. Gus Ra cracks his whip again and I jump out of the way as it flies past me, leaving a trail of flames in its wake. When he raises his arm to pull the whip back over his shoulder again, I see an opening and take it, gripping the sword in my left hand. I rush at him and plunge it deep into his rib cage. I yank it downwards, ripping his waxy skin apart until the sword is lodged at the bottom of his torso. I fall backwards, looking up at him and desperately hoping I've delivered the final blow, that I've ended the war. No such luck. Though Gus Ra grimaces for the first time. Instead of turning into a pile of ash, he just reaches down and pulls the sword out of his body. He examines the blade, watching his thick black blood dripping off of it. Then he puts the blade in his mouth and bites down on it, breaking it in half, and lets it drop to the ground. It's like he's playing with me. What's going on? I rise to my feet, calculating quickly what my next move should be. Step 1 is avoiding Gus Ra long enough to figure it out. I wish, more than ever, that my guard was standing with me. Ella, can you hear me? Nothing. I continue to back away from Gus Ra, trying to put more distance between us to give myself a fighting chance. That's when I notice my right hand is starting to tingle. I look down and see the skin around the whip's wound has turned black. As I watch, the discoloration spreads to my knuckles and fingernails. In a matter of seconds my entire right hand is black up to my wrist. The tingling sensation vanishes. My hand feels incredibly heavy, like it's turned to lead. I look up at Gus Ra. The purple scar on his neck begins to pulse with a bright light. Are you ready to die? He asks me. Ella, if you're coming, now is the time. In fact, it's now or never. I want so much to hear her voice in my head, telling me that she and the others are just outside the door. We should be together, fighting Gus Ra with our legacies until there is nothing left of him but a worthless, powerless pile of ash. Instead, I'm here alone, powerless, my hand injured and useless. Gus Ra is just standing here in front of me, fire whip in hand, toying with me. What is going on? I take one more look around at the desert, then reach for the wheel on the brown door and give it a spin. After one rotation, I decide to speed things up and just yank it off its hinges. A steel ladder goes down into a black hole. I can see in the dark. Marina volunteers. I'll go first. I stand aside to let her get by. Marina climbs down the ladder into the darkness and drops out of sight. 8 tosses her chest down after her. It's about 20 feet down. Looks like there's a long tunnel. Marina calls up. All clear so far. I don't see anyone. 9 looks at Ella and me and says, ladies first. Ella starts down the ladder, and when she disappears, 9 smirks at me and says, well, okay, but I was referring to you. 4, I shake my head at him. He's nothing if not consistent. He gestures for me to go down next. You know I love you, man. Get in there. Using telekinesis, I let Bernie coaster down first, back in his beagle form, then tuck my chest under one arm and awkwardly climb down using just the other hand. It's musty and cold inside the tunnel. Ahead of me, I can hear Ella and Marina walking and BK's toenails clicking on the cement. I turn the lumen on in my free hand and sweep the concrete tunnel for a few seconds, getting my bearings. I use my lumen to illuminate the distance between our location and a sharp turn far up ahead. Then I turn it off. Marina, you can see to keep us moving, right? 8 and 9 have now caught up to us. Yes, she says, and we all start to follow her down the dark passageway. We haven't gone very far when I almost slam into Ella, who has stopped dead in her tracks. Oh no, I finally got through to 6. She needs us. She says it's now or never. Let's pick up the pace, people. 9 calls out from the rear. We run as fast as we can through the dark. I flash my lumen every few seconds to keep us from running over each other. We make a sharp turn and I wave my hand again to light up the tunnel and reveal what's ahead. The next 100 yards slope downward, and my lumen lights up a concrete door at the end. I slide my chest down ahead of me until it slams against the door, still sprinting. I turn on both of my palms to give us all a better view. 9 quickly rips open his chest and pulls out the yellow ball covered in small bumps. Like a magician, he holds it in his fingers and then whips it at the door. It bounces just a few inches off the metal before expanding while turning black. Long, razor-sharp spikes explode out of it and the door is blown inward on impact. The spikes instantly retreat until it's just a yellow ball again, lying innocently on the floor. 9 leans down, grabs it, and tosses it back into his chest, which he closes with a loud snap. I was hoping that would happen, 9 says admiringly. We all bolt through the doorway. Red lights are flashing and sirens are blaring, attacking our senses. At the end of this shorter passageway, we come to another large concrete door. This one rises as we approach it, revealing dozens of enormous Mogadorian soldiers with cannons and swords up and ready to use. Mogs? What are they doing here? Asks Aid in disbelief. Yeah, bad news, the government and the Mogadorians have teamed up, I say. Easy pickings, 8 says. 9 nudges me and makes an exaggerated gesture of approval at our newfound guard member. I feel a surge of adrenaline pump through my body that I've only felt in my visions. All of a sudden I know what to do. I look over at the others. Follow my lead, I yell. They nod back at me. I drop my chest, light the lumen in both palms and rush straight ahead. The last thing I see out of the corner of my eye is Ella scooping up my chest. Just like in my vision, I aim the lumen at my feet as I run and they catch on fire. The flames climb up my legs and engulf my body just as I reach the first soldier. When I jump, I'm a fireball that burns right through him. He turns to ash and I keep running. The Mogs I pass swing around 180 degrees to shoot at me, but my flames offer the perfect protection. I lower my head and run with my arm stretched out, effectively keeping any other soldiers away. Marina, 8 and Ella are on the heels of the soldiers, picking them off from behind as I race ahead. 9 has run up onto the ceiling and is battling the Mogs from above. I toss fireballs at the closest ones to me, and in a matter of seconds they're all torched, leaving a thick cloud of ash and smoke hanging above. I slow my pace when I see the last one go down. When we reach the back of the room, I launch a large ball of fire at the door, blowing it to pieces. I take a second to admire how well that worked. BK even getting his share of Mogs, though this is clearly neither the time nor the place for self-congratulation. Maybe 9's rubbed off on me. We all turn to see what's next. Inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra has done something to me. I can't move at all and stand rooted in place. At first, I wonder if it's just all the punishing battle or the bizarre wound on my hand or both. Then I realize there is something seriously wrong. Something stopping me from being able to move. I force my chin up to look at inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra looming before me. Inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra has produced a golden cane with a black eye on the handle. He holds it out and the eye blinks, rolls left and then right before it finds me. Then the eye slowly closes, and snaps back open to emit a crazy bright, blinding, red light. As the beam crawls over my helpless body, it leaves behind a weird, buzzing sensation on my skin. I really need to move. I need to get away from that creepy light, away from whatever it's doing to me, but I'm immobilized. My hand weighs a ton. I am vulnerable and I need to get control of the situation, of myself, but I can't. The light from the eye is now purple and it rolls over my face. I lick my lips and taste something burned. Inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra moves towards me until he's a few feet away. I close my eyes and tighten my jaw, thinking of John and Katerina and Sam and Marina and Ella. I see 8 and Henri and Creighton, and even Bernie Kosar. I will not give inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra the honor, the pleasure, of looking at him while he kills me. Something hot and soft touches my forehead, like a blast of air. I steel myself for whatever is about to happen. Brace myself for the certain agony it will bring. When nothing happens, I open my eyes to see inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra just standing there. Well, not exactly. There are bands of red and purple light shining out of the head of his cane and crawling up and down his massive body. Inverted exclamation mark Gus Ra starts to shake and a white light outlines his shoulders and arms. He falls to his knees, convulsing, his huge head jerking up and down. Then his dull, waxy skin pulls away from the muscle and bone. When the skin snaps back down onto his shrinking body, it has a new, olive tone. Long blonde hair grows out of his scalp until he has a full head of hair. When he looks up at me, I am more desperate than ever to attack, but I still can't move. He's me gray eyes and high cheekbones and dyed blonde hair. For me to be you, you must stay alive, he says in my voice, but only for now. He lifts a palm into the air and, as if there was one magnet in the ceiling and another in my now black hand, I shoot off the ground, slam against the ceiling, and dangle there, 50 feet off the floor. I feel a painful buzzing in my brain. I try again to call for Ella in my head, but I can't even hear myself think. When I touch my free hand to the one stuck to the ceiling, it, too, turns black. The heavy stiffness that weighed down my hand is now spreading. The only thing I can move at this point are my eyes. My entire body is now black. Black rock. End of chapter.